Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us for our lunchtime forecast here at Hail Trace. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are watching today for several areas across the country for strong to severe storms. So what we're watching for here is hail across the northern plains all the way out to the East Coast. So we've got a large area of the country that we're keeping an eye on today. We're also watching for catastrophic flooding from the Tropical Storm Debby. So that used to be a hurricane, made landfall yesterday. Now it's a tropical storm. It's looking to do something funky on the East Coast. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. And then of course, we'll look at your heat update. Who will see below average temperatures? Who will see above average temperatures as we head into the rest of August. But before we start there, I do want to mention the NTRCA Not So Many Trade Show. That is on August 8th. It's coming up here in just a few days down in Grapevine, Texas, in the DFW area. Hail Trace, of course, will have a booth there, so if you'd like to come by, stop by and see us. We'd love to see you. For more information, you can head to our Facebook page. We have an event set up that you can go ahead, click that link, grab your tickets, or post in there that you are coming. We would love to know who to expect there. All right, let's talk about yesterday's storm reports. Okay, so you can see a lot of activity through the Midwest. I want to start farther out to the west in the northern plains here. You can see that we did see some pretty strong wind farther out in the northwestern central of the U.S. Several tornadoes, or reported tornadoes at least, just south of Minneapolis. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. And then we got some strong wind, pretty isolated across Chicago, into Toronto as well. It looks like now, jumping ahead to current time, we do have a tornado warning, so we'll have to take a look and see where that is in just a few minutes. But okay, Debby also produced several tornadoes just along the South Carolina coast there. That is another hazard that we're watching for today as well. So Debby is not done yet. We actually still have several days of watching the hazards coming from Debby. There are those tornadoes that we saw yesterday, anywhere between about 5 to 8 o'clock yesterday, just south of Minneapolis. You can see those warnings pop up, heading farther down to Debby, just south of Charleston. You can see that yesterday evening into the late night hours between about 8 and 10 o'clock. Also several tornadoes reported in this area. We watch for this area of the storm. So if you split the hurricane up into quadrants, if you look for the right front quadrant, that is usually where we watch for the most significant severe weather. And if you're curious about why that area is what we watch, we actually have a blog post about it at hailtrace.com. It's really interesting, and you can go ahead and take a look at that if you're a weather enthusiast like we are. But let's go ahead and move on to those rainfall totals. Obviously, we're watching for that tropical storm. This is where we've seen the most significant rainfall totals along the East Coast. Even just within the last 24 hours, we've seen some really impressive rainfall totals here. Over 9 inches just south of Savannah, over 9 inches, almost 10 inches. We're just a few tenths away from 10 inches of rain in 24 hours just to the south of Charleston. So of course this is causing those flooding issues just off the coast there. So we are definitely going to keep watching this as we just add to these rainfall totals as this continues to track up the East Coast. We actually have a question on here. What kind of fallout can we expect in North Mississippi from Debby is what I'm assuming from Debby here. I'll take a look at your future radar in just a few minutes, but from North Mississippi, I would just expect maybe some overshooting clouds. I'm not expecting too much in terms of impact from Debby all the way out into Mississippi, but we can show you that in just a few minutes. Actually, what we're watching for here is some dry air that's coming into the south of this system in the northern side of Florida, most likely cutting off Mississippi from a lot of moisture and activity that we could expect in other parts of the country over the next few days. So I would expect it to be on the quieter side. Also taking a look up to the north here where you can see more showers and storms right now, we actually do have a watch in place here. And I think we have already seen several severe thunderstorm warnings, if not a tornado warning out of this as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on this area for another round of showers and storms. So we're talking about anywhere from Cleveland all the way off to the East Coast. This is your first chance for severe weather today. The next chance for strong to severe storms will be farther out to the north, anywhere from the northern plains all the way down to Denver. Yes, Denver included in that hail risk today. Temperatures across the states, we're talking about the 80s up to the north. It looks like we've seen some heat relief in Minneapolis, 72 right now. 94 in Oklahoma City, but of course, you know, if you watch us, you know our winner is always Las Vegas, always the hottest out in Las Vegas. If you add in the humidity to this, these temperatures go up pretty significantly, and we'll take a look at that feel-like temperature in just a moment. 95 in Chandler right now, zooming down into Oklahoma City, 95 out in Yukon, Stillwater, pretty consistently one of the warmer temperatures that we see in the Oklahoma City area. Heading farther down into Dallas, Fort Worth at 94, 95 in Denton. I think this is too hot to even sit on the patio today. Usually I say maybe if you can find some shade, you can enjoy your lunch in the patio, but I think this is an AC type of day. And of course, as I was talking about earlier, if you factor in the moisture to those current temperatures, it feels even hotter. We've got triple digits out in St. Louis, 101 down in Florida, 78 in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we've got a lot of people with those really warm temperatures. However, in those areas that are dealing with the flooding, you've got those that cloud cover as well. A little bit cooler up there. Although I rather have the heat than the flooding. I think that would be the hazard that I would prefer, but you know, a little bit of something for everyone across the states today. All right, let's take a look at the instability and get into that severe weather for today. We have seen strong to severe storms already out in the Midwest all the way off to the East Coast. That is that area that we're watching for right now that already has a watch associated with it. As we go throughout the afternoon hours, you're going to see a lot of this instability be used up by those storms. I know we see some instability coming through St. Louis. I'm not too worried about storms in this area. However, if you look farther back to the west, through the plains and then all the way down to Denver, we could also see some stronger storms in that area. I think this really tells the story by looking at the significant hail model, where you can see some of those yellow areas popping up anywhere from Montana all the way down to Denver. Rapid City also included in that chance for strong to severe storms today. Now, you'll look at the hail model in just a minute and you'll be able to see that this hail may be small in the Denver area. However, I do think we have a pretty good chance to see some sort of hail. I have it at a moderate risk here, so that yellow icon is going to pop up for a moderate risk level. That's because these storms are pretty scattered, so we have a pretty good chance to see definitely rain, if not a severe storm as well. Wind right around 60 miles per hour with this, but I do think we could see some small hail right around the size of a quarter. Taking you farther up to the north now into Montana, you could probably see some larger hailstones in this area. Still pretty scattered, widespread showers and storms coming from this as well. And then of course that area that already has that watch associated with it, places like Cleveland, all the way out to Philadelphia. As we get into the later night hours, I think that's whenever you could see some of those stronger storms in places like Philadelphia. But it's still, with this even, it's pretty widespread and scattered. So I do have a pretty good chance, a moderate risk, to see those storms anywhere from Cleveland out to Philadelphia. Smaller hail with this, right around the size of a quarter. However, I do think very isolated areas like places like Montana could get some of this larger hail. I have up to the size of a hen egg with this. So let's take a look at that wind forecast. Some other hazards here include high wind as well as that tornado threat. We do have high wind expected up through Montana all the way down through the northern plains. One area we have not talked about yet, mainly for the wind threat here, will be southern Arizona. So we're talking about the Tucson, just south of Phoenix area. And then of course, strong wind farther out to the east, anywhere from the Midwest to the East Coast, right through Pennsylvania. This area has the threat for a tornadic activity possible with these storms that are moving through right now. So this is the time that I want you to go ahead and make sure that you have a plan just in case a storm does pop up in your area that could produce a tornado. It's definitely possible. We have a good chance to see some form of tornadic activity in this area. Again, that's the Midwest through Pennsylvania to the East Coast. Heading farther down to the south of the East Coast here, we have Tropical Storm Debby. which has already produced several tornadoes along southern South Carolina, and then today that risk goes through northern South Carolina into North Carolina there. So again, another pretty decent chance, especially for this time of the year, to see those strong to severe storms with, if they rotate, they could produce a tornado. Taking a look at your future radar here, we're heading farther back out to the west. I know we're kind of popping around a little bit here because we have so many different areas of the country to keep an eye on. So I'll try to go slow, stay with me. You can always rewatch the forecast if I go a little bit too fast here. As I mentioned earlier, we have those scattered showers and storms, maybe a little sparse through some of these areas. However, I think as we get down into Colorado, we will be able to see a little bit more shower and storm development here. And then of course, pretty widespread development up through Montana. These storms will make their way farther out into the northern plains in places like South and North Dakota. However, the farther east that they track, the more of that energy, the more of that oomph they're going to lose, and will have a lower risk for severe weather in this area. Heading farther out to the east now, you can see those showers and storms have already started across the Midwest, tracking along to the East Coast, pretty parallel with the East Coast here, but moving off to the east as we head into the afternoon hours. This will be the earliest threat that we see, and then later on this afternoon into the evening hours, that's whenever we see that threat for severe weather farther out to the west. So here we go, we're gonna see these showers and storms, maybe even 2 rounds here. So Cleveland, you could be getting those storms right now, but it looks like around dinner time, you'll have another round of storms coming through. So once we get that first round of storms, make sure you're still staying weather aware because you could have another round right after that. It looks like the sweet spot for places like New York to see those showers and storms will be anywhere between 6 o'clock this evening into the late night hours. This could even go through early tomorrow morning with that second round of storms coming in after the sun sets. Okay, let's go ahead and jump down to Debby. Here we go. Okay, we talked earlier about where is the best area for strong to severe storms. If you split this in half, split it in half again, we're talking about that right front quadrant. So this area is where we're watching for strong to severe storms, flooding, of course that tornado risk mixed in here. I know a lot of people on here jump on for that hail risk. Hurricanes are not hail producers, so we're not worried about the hail risk in this area. High wind and tornado and flooding will be the biggest threat, especially right along the East Coast here, anywhere from northern South Carolina to southern North Carolina. We'll continue to see those showers and storms produce heavy rainfalls. The National Hurricane Center is calling this historic heavy rainfall and very, very dangerous flooding. So that's going to be one of the biggest things that I want you to keep an eye on. If you like to watch tornadoes, storm chasers, get out there, get great shots of tornadoes. This will not be an area to see great shots of tornadoes. These tornadoes will most likely be rain-wrapped and extremely difficult to see. Moving on to the path of Tropical Storm Debby. So this is expected to stay a tropical storm. This is going to go and do something a little funky here. It goes out into the Atlantic just off the coast of South Carolina and then makes another landfall, a second landfall here, back into South Carolina, and then we'll travel up the East Coast as we get into the later portion of the work week. What does this mean for you? Well, this means it's going to rain for quite some time. We're not done with the rain today or tomorrow. It looks by Thursday, Debby will still be in about the same spot it is today, just a little bit farther up to the north. So that flooding threat is going to continue for several more days here. Okay, let's take a look at the big hazards here. If you have not already noticed, flood threat is a big hazard, not only today, also through tomorrow, into Thursday, and then also on Friday. This is the highest level you can get for a flooding hazard here. So it's a level 4 out of 4. Pretty impressive to see a flood hazard that far north, a level 4 out of 4. So pretty impressive there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at those future temperatures. I told you we'd get a heat check here, so let's see if those temperatures are going down at all. I don't think they will too much. 100 degrees for tomorrow here in Oklahoma City. Staying hot, 102 in Dallas for tomorrow. We've got 96 on Thursday, 104 in Dallas. By Friday, it looks like temperatures will still be in the upper 90s here. Maybe a little bit cooler by Friday, but by cool, we mean like 96. So at least it's not 100. It's still about average, if not above average here. As we head into the middle of August, so we're talking about the second week of August here, temperatures look like they could dip a little bit below average in places like Washington, all the way up to Chicago, so looking like below 84 in Chicago. However, Oklahoma City, we still have a high likelihood of being above average into the middle of August. What about those rainfall chances? Well, thankfully, it looks like we could get some showers and storms right through the central portion of the country. The west, still staying dry, and then of course, we've talked about all of that rain that the East Coast is going to get over the next 5 days. It looks like we see a change of pattern, a little bit drier off in the East Coast as we head into the middle of August, and then we'll get a little bit of rain farther out to the west, but that'll be the second week. We still have quite some time until we get there. All right, thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. We appreciate you hopping in here. As always, if you have any questions, I saw a few people put them in the chat, so I'll go back and see if I can answer any of those after we are done here. But give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. If you're a weather enthusiast like we are, we post a lot of helpful things on those platforms. And if you're interested in any hail, wind, or tornado maps, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com or head over to our website, hailtrace.com. Not only do we have hail, wind, and tornado maps there, but we also have a fun blog that we update quite often that explains things like what's happening with Debby or what happened with Beryl, maybe what's happening with our hail maps. So we do a little bit of everything with that blog. We have a lot of fun with that. Anyway, thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. We'll see you back here same time, same place tomorrow.